Have you ever wondered how a rescued dog could become a hero? This story is about a pup who was once abandoned, but went on to save countless lives. Prepare to be amazed by this heartwarming tale of resilience and courage. The alley was a cold, wet mouth. It swallowed light and spat out grime. In the deepest corner, a dog shivered. He was a creature of bones and matted fur. His world was made of shadows and hunger. He did not have a name. He was just a thing that existed in the forgotten places. Cars rumbled past the alley's entrance. People's legs hurried by. Their sounds were a constant threat. A loud laugh could make him flinch. The scrape of a shoe could send him deeper in his hiding spot. He learned the rhythm of the city. The clang of the dumpster lid meant a chance for scraps. The hiss of rain meant a cold, damp night. His days were a blur of fear. His nights were long and filled with cold. He remembered time before the alley, a time with a hand that was not always kind, a voice that was often loud. Then a car door opened. A push. The car drove away. He had waited. He waited for a long time, but the car never came back. That was his first lesson in abandonment. Now, he trusted nothing. Kindness was a trick. A piece of offered food was a lure into a trap. He survived on what he could find. A half-eaten sandwich. A puddle of greasy water. He was becoming a ghost, a whisper of what a dog should be. His future was not bleak. It was non-existent. It was just more of this, until it wasn't. One afternoon, a different sound entered the alley. Slow footsteps, not the hurry of the city. These were careful. A woman appeared at the entrance. She did not wear fancy shoes. She wore sturdy boots. She carried no purse. She carried a leash and a gentle look in her eyes. The dog flattened himself against the brick wall. A low growl rumbled in his chest. It was a weak sound, full of fear, not fury. The woman stopped. She did not come closer. She knelt down, making herself small. "Hello there," she said. Her voice was soft, like a warm blanket. He had not heard a voice like that in a very long time. He watched her. His body was a knot of tension. She did not move. She just sat there on the damp pavement. After a few minutes, she reached slowly into her pocket. She pulled out something that smelled wonderful. It was meat. She did not throw it at him. She placed it on the ground, a few feet in front of her. Then she slid it gently forward with her finger. "It's for you," she said. "You must be so hungry." Hunger warred with fear. Hunger was a powerful beast. It gnawed at his insides. He watched the meat. He watched the woman. Her hand was still. Her face was calm. He took a hesitant step forward. Then another. He snatched the meat and retreated back into his shadow. He ate it in 2 gulps. It was the best thing he had ever tasted. The woman smiled. It was a small, sad smile. She put another piece down, this time a little closer to her. He did it again. Snatch and retreat. They did this for nearly an hour. Each time, the piece of meat was a little closer. Finally, the last piece was right beside her boot. He crept forward. His heart hammered against his ribs. He could smell her scent. It was not a scent of anger or danger. It smelled of soap and other dogs. He took the final piece of meat. As he did, her fingers brushed against the matted fur. He flinched, ready to bolt. But her hand did not grab. It did not hit. It just rested there for a second. A touch of warmth. It was a turning point. A tiny spark in the darkness of his life. She spoke softly. "My name is Sarah. I'm from the rescue center. I'm here to help you." He did not understand the words, but he understood the tone. For the first time in forever, he did not run. He stood there, trembling, as she slowly clipped a leash on his worn-out collar. He had found his chance at a new beginning. The shelter was a world of noise and strange smells. Dogs barked. Cats meowed. The clean scent of bleach filled the air. For the dog Sarah had rescued, it was overwhelming. She gave him a new name. She called him Chance, but he did not feel lucky. He felt terrified. He had a kennel of his own. It had a soft bed and a full bowl of food and water. He ignored them all. He cowered in the corner, a trembling ball of misery. Every time someone walked past his kennel, he would press himself harder against the wall. The friendly barks of other dogs sounded like threats. Sarah spent hours with him. She would sit just outside his kennel door and talk to him. She never forced him to do anything. She just offered her presence. "It's okay, Chance," she would say. "You're safe here." Days turned into a week. He started to eat, but only when no one was looking. He would drink water when the shelter was quiet at night. He watched Sarah. He saw her kindness with the other animals. He saw the way she cleaned their spaces, the way she spoke to them, the way her hands were always gentle. One day, she opened his kennel door and sat on the floor inside. He tensed, ready to snap, ready to run. But he was trapped. He could only press himself into the corner. She did not look at him. She just sat there, humming a quiet tune. After a long time, she slowly extended her hand, palm up. He watched that hand. It was the same hand that had given him meat, the hand that had touched him so briefly in the alley. He remembered its warmth. Hesitantly, slowly, he stretched his neck forward. He sniffed her fingers. Then, with a soft flick of his tongue, he licked her hand. Sarah's breath hitched. A tear rolled down her cheek. "Good boy, Chance," she whispered. "That's a very good boy." That was the first crack in the wall of his fear. From that day on, he started to change. He would let Sarah pet him. He would take a treat from her hand without snatching it. He even wagged his tail once, a tiny, uncertain thump against the floor. But he was still wary of others, especially men. Their deep voices and larger size reminded him of bad times. When families came to look at the dogs, Chance would retreat to his corner. He was overlooked time and time again. He was too scared, too broken. Then, a man named Jake came to the shelter. He was not looking for a puppy. He was not looking for a perfect, happy dog. Jake was a retired park ranger. He was a quiet man with kind, weathered eyes. He had lost his old search and rescue dog a year ago. His house felt empty. He walked past the barking, excited dogs. He saw Chance, hiding in the back of his kennel. Sarah was sitting nearby. "That one's had a rough time," Jake said, his voice low and calm. Sarah looked up. "That's Chance. He's a sweet boy, just very scared." Jake knelt down by the kennel. He did not try to reach in. He did not say anything. He just watched. Chance peeked out from his corner, one eye visible. He saw the man. The man was big, but he was still. He was quiet. There was a patience about him. Jake stayed there for almost 30 minutes. He just sat, being a calm presence. Finally, he spoke. "Can I meet him outside?" Sarah was surprised. Most people moved on. "Of course," she said. In the small, fenced-in yard, Chance stayed close to Sarah's leg. Jake sat on a bench on the other side of the yard. He did not call the dog. He did not try to tempt him. He just waited. After a long time, curiosity got the better of Chance. He took a few steps toward the man. He sniffed the air. The man smelled the pine needles and wood smoke. It was a good smell, an earthy smell. Jake tossed a small, soft toy a few feet away. It landed without a sound. Chance looked at the toy, then back at Jake. He did not move. Jake did not seem to mind. He just sat. This went on for 3 days. Jake would come and sit in the yard with Chance. He never pushed. He never rushed. On the 3rd day, Chance walked all the way over to Jake. He sniffed his boots. He looked up at his face. Jake slowly lowered his hand. Chance leaned in and let the man scratch him behind the ears. In that moment, a bond was formed, a quiet understanding. Jake looked at Sarah. "I'll take him," he said. Sarah cried happy tears. Chance was going to a real home. He was getting more than a chance. He was getting a future. The drive to Jake's house was quiet. Chance sat in the back, nervous but not terrified. Jake's house was small and smelled of wood. It was nestled at the edge of a large forest. There were no loud city noises, only the whisper of the wind in the trees. The first few weeks were a challenge. Chance was afraid of doorways. He would not come inside unless Jake left the door wide open. He was scared of the television. He would hide whenever a broom came out. Jake was endlessly patient. He never raised his voice. He showed Chance that the house was a safe place. He established a routine. A walk in the morning, food in his bowl, quiet time by the fireplace in the evening, Jake began the training. It started with trust. He would sit on the floor and hand-feed Chance's meals, one piece of kibble at a time. He taught him that hands were for kindness. Then came the commands. Sit. Jake would say the word and gently press on Chance's back. When he sat, he got a treat and praise. Good boy, Chance. Good sit. The simple words, spoken in Jake's calm voice, were a powerful reward. Slowly, Chance transformed. The fear in his eyes was replaced with curiosity. His tail, once permanently tucked, now wagged freely. He learned to stay, come, and lie down. He loved their walks in the forest. He would run ahead, but always look back to make sure Jake was there. During these walks, Jake noticed something special about Chance. The dog had an incredible sense of smell. He wasn't just sniffing trees. He was reading stories in the air. One day, Chance stopped dead on the trail. He started digging frantically at the base of a fallen log. Jake came over to see what it was. Buried in the dirt was a lost wallet. It belonged to a hiker who had passed 3 days ago. Another time, while walking through their small neighborhood, Chance started pulling Jake toward a neighbor's house. He whined and pawed at the side of the house near a gas meter. Jake, trusting the dog's instinct, knocked on the door. It turned out there was a small, dangerous gas leak. The fire department said Chance had likely prevented a disaster. Jake realized Chance had more than just a good nose. He had a keen intuition, a natural talent for sniffing out things that were wrong, things that were out of place. He wasn't just a pet. He had the makings of a search and rescue dog. The training became more focused. Jake set up scent trails in the woods. He would hide an old shirt and have Chance find it. At first, the games were easy. Then they became harder. The trails became longer. The scents became fainter. Chance loved it. It was a job, a purpose. The bond between them grew stronger with every training session. It was more than just a man and his dog. They were a team. Jake could read Chance's every signal, the twitch of the ear, the change in his posture, and Chance trusted Jake completely. Jake's voice was his anchor. His presence was his safety. The dog who was once abandoned and afraid to be touched now slept at the foot of Jake's bed, a loyal guardian in the night. The dog from the alley was gone. In his place stood a strong, confident partner, forged in a fire of trust and love. Winter came to the mountains. It came with a fury, blanketing the forest in a thick layer of snow. A family visiting the national park went for a short hike. They did not expect the storm to roll in so fast. In the confusion and blinding snow, their 8-year-old daughter, Lily, got separated from them. Panic set in. Park rangers and local volunteers started a search. But the conditions were terrible. The snow was coming down hard. The temperature was dropping fast. Every hour that passed made the situation more desperate. Jake heard the news on the local radio. He looked at Chance, who was sleeping by the fire. "What do you say, boy?" Jake said, "Want to go to work." Chance's ears perked up. His tail thumped against the floor. He was ready. Jake called the head ranger, a friend of his. "Mark, it's Jake. I'm coming with my dog." "Jake, the conditions are brutal," Mark said over the phone. "We're not having any luck. We're on our way." Jake replied. They arrived at the search command post. The air was thick with tension. Lily's parents were huddled in a truck, their faces pale with fear. Jake got one of Lily's mittens from them. He let Chance take a long sniff. "Okay, boy," Jake said, his voice low and serious. "Find her. Go find." Chance put his nose to the ground. The world of human sight was a blur of white. But for Chance, the world of scent was a rich tapestry. He could smell the fear of the searchers. He could smell the cold snow. But underneath it all, he found it. A faint trail, the scent of a little girl. He took off, pulling Jake behind him. They moved away from the main search party, deeper into the woods. The snow was deep, making every step a struggle for Jake. But Chance was relentless. He was a machine, driven by scent and purpose. For over an hour, they tracked. The trail was faint. The wind and snow were trying to race it. Several times, Chance lost the scent. He would circle, his nose twitching, casting about for a clue. Then he would find it again and surge forward. Jake trusted him completely. The light began to fail. The forest grew dark and menacing. Jake was starting to feel the cold seep into his bones. Doubt began to creep in. But then, Chance stopped. He stood at the base of a rocky outcrop, his tail held high and stiff. He let out a single, sharp bark. It wasn't a bark of aggression. It was a bark that said, "Here." Jake scrambled up the rocks. Tucked into a small hollow, shelter from the wind, was Lily. She was curled into a tight ball, shivering violently. Her face was blue with cold. Chance moved forward slowly. He licked her cold cheek. Then, he lay down beside her, pressing his warm, furry body against hers. He was a living furnace. Jake quickly radioed their position. He took off his own heavy coat and wrapped it around the little girl. "It's okay, Lily," he said gently. "You're safe now. We're going to get you home." The rescue team arrived minutes later. They carefully carried Lily out of the woods. Her parents sobbed with relief, hugging Jake and burying their faces in Chance's thick fur. "That dog," Lily's father said, his voice choked with emotion. "He saved her life. He's a hero." The head ranger, Mark, put a hand on Jake's shoulder. "I've been doing this for 30 years, Jake. I've never seen anything like it. That dog is one in a million." News of the rescue spread through the community. Chance was no longer just Jake's dog. He was a symbol of hope. His story was a powerful reminder that courage and love could overcome even the darkest of beginnings. The dog who was once thrown away had become a hero, his actions touching the lives of an entire community and saving one precious life from cold. The story of Chance, the hero dog, was everywhere. It was in the local newspaper and on the evening news. People started to talk about him and about where he came from. They talked about the Second Chance Rescue Center. Sarah's phone at the shelter started ringing off the hook. Donations poured in. People sent money, bags of food, blankets, and toys. Volunteers signed up, eager to help. Chance's heroism had shone a bright light on the quiet, tireless work of rescue organizations. One Saturday, Jake and Chance paid a visit to the shelter. The moment they walked in, a hush fell over the place. The staff came out to greet them. Sarah knelt and hugged Chance tightly. "Oh, you wonderful, wonderful boy," she whispered. "Look at you now." A family was there, looking to adopt. They were hesitant, standing in front of the kennel of a shy, scared-looking dog that reminded Jake so much of Chance when he first arrived. The father saw Jake and recognized him from the news. "You're the man with that hero dog," he said. Jake smiled. "This is him. This is Chance." The family looked at Chance in awe. He stood calmly by Jake's side, his tail wagging gently. "He's so calm and brave," the mother said. "Our kids want a dog, but we're worried about getting a rescue. What if they have problems?" Jake looked over at the scared dog in the kennel. Then he looked at Chance. He was just like that one. Jake said, his voice soft. He was found in an alley, starving, terrified of everything. He wouldn't let anyone touch him. The family was stunned. "That dog?" the father asked, pointing at Chance. Really? Jake said, "These dogs aren't broken. They're just waiting for someone to give them a second chance. They have so much love to give. It just takes patience. It takes showing them that they're safe, providing them with good food, a warm bed, and a little training. That's all it is. Responsible ownership isn't about getting a perfect dog. It's about helping a dog become its best self." Jake looked at the family's 2 children, who were watching the shy dog with wide, curious eyes. "The love you get back from a rescue," Jake continued, "is the most powerful thing in the world. They know you saved them, and they'll spend the rest of their lives thanking you for it." Inspired by Jake's words and Chance's incredible story, the family went to talk to Sarah. An hour later, they left the shelter with their new dog. As they walked out, the mother turned to Jake. "Thank you," she said. "You helped us make the best decision." Jake and Chance's visit did more than just raise money. It transformed lives. It showed people that behind the scared eyes of a shelter animal, there could be a hero waiting. It encouraged them to open their hearts and homes, to offer a second chance, and to change a life forever. Chance's legacy of courage continued to grow. He and Jake officially joined the county's search and rescue team as volunteers. They didn't just participate in missions, they helped train new dogs and their handlers. Jake would share Chance's story, emphasizing that a dog's past does not define its future. Chance became an ambassador for animal welfare. They visited schools, teaching children about being kind to animals and the importance of responsible pet ownership. Chance, once so fearful, would patiently allow dozens of small hands to pet him. He was a living lesson in resilience. His presence inspired families to volunteer at the shelter, to donate to rescue groups, and to advocate for laws that protect animals. On quiet evenings, Jake would sit by the fire, just as he had in those first few weeks. Chance would lie at his feet, his head resting on Jake's boot. Jake would stroke his soft fur and think about the journey they had taken. He remembered the skeletal, terrified creature hiding in the alley. It seemed like a different lifetime. He thought about the incredible chain of events. A kind woman who refused to give up. A patient man who saw potential where others saw a lost cause. And a dog who, when given a chance to feel safe and loved, found the hero inside himself. The story of Chance was a simple one, but it held a profound message. It was a story of hope. It showed that no beginning is so dark that it cannot lead to a brilliant light. It was a testament to the fact that from neglect, loyalty can grow. From fear, courage can rise. From abandonment, an unbreakable bond can be forged. Chance's life became a call to action, not through a shouted slogan, but through the quiet power of his example. His story continues to be shared, a ripple of inspiration spreading from one person to another. It asks us all to look closer at forgotten souls, the ones hiding in the shadows of our day. It encourages us to be the person who stops, who kneels, who offers a gentle hand. Because we never know, the animal we save today might just be the one who saves someone else tomorrow. And in doing so, they might just save a part of us too. Make a difference. Be the one who offers a second chance.